One night, Sarah was returning home from her friend's birthday dinner with her 12-year-old son Andy, when suddenly it started to rain very heavily on the way. In no time, that rain turned into a storm, and because of this, a very large tree had fallen and blocked the way to Sarah's house. She had recently moved to that area with her son Andy, so she didn't know any other way to go home. That's when Sarah noticed. A little farther, she saw a very large mansion. The lights were on inside that mansion. Sarah thought that maybe someone lived in that mansion. Who could help him? Sarah reached the mansion with her son Andy. Sarah rang the mansion's bell many times, but no one even opened the door. But then the door opened by itself. Sarah found it strange, but still, she went inside the mansion with Andy. Reaching the mansion's hall, Sarah called out several times. Hello. Is anyone here? Hello, but the one to answer, there was no one there. When no answer came, Sarah thought that maybe the mansion was empty. The mansion looked a bit strange, a bit creepy, but it was very late and both were very tired. So, Sarah put Andy to sleep in the upstairs bedroom and went to the kitchen to get some water. Andy was very tired anyway, but lying in that bedroom, she just couldn't sleep. She was feeling a strange restlessness, and just then some noise came from inside the cupboard kept in that room. Andy sat up and began to listen carefully to that noise. So, someone was calling Andy from inside that cupboard. Sarah sat on the same chair and started drinking water, but at that very moment, the chair started rocking on its own. Due to nervousness, the glass of water slipped from Sarah's hand and she started trying to get out of that chair. Just then, that chair started moving forward rapidly by itself. Sarah somehow jumped off that chair and fell on the floor next to a mannequin in the hall. Sarah was leaning on the mannequin when its head suddenly turned towards her. Seeing this, Sarah was shocked. Terrified, she ran upstairs. Hearing the noises coming from the cupboard in the bedroom upstairs, Andy was a bit nervous now. He slowly got up and started walking towards the cupboard, but her eyes fell on the mirror in front. In that mirror, the shadow of a woman was visible. When Andy turned around and looked back, so there was no one there. But when she looked in the mirror again, her heart started pounding heavily. In that mirror, she could see two shining blue eyes. It was the shadow of the woman who had just seen him. And he started trembling right there when that woman screamed very loudly and threw a big knife at Andy. But Andy fell to the ground to save himself. And because of that knife, the mirror in front completely shattered. Then Sarah came running there and saw Andy lying on the ground crying. And then suddenly, the noise started coming from inside that cupboard again. But this time, the voice was calling Sarah. Sarah laughed. Sarah laughed. Sarah was also getting very scared now. He didn't understand what was happening to him in that mansion. He placed the knife near the glass.
She picked it up and started walking towards that cupboard, but as soon as she opened that wardrobe, she screamed loudly. Inside the cupboard stood a very scary person. It had no face and its head was in a box in its hand. Seeing this, Sarah immediately grabbed Andy's hand and she started running away from there with it. Both of them were running in the corridor when suddenly the corridor split into two parts. In one part, there was Sarah, and in the other part was her son Andy. As Andy turned back towards his mom, the corridor Sarah was standing on flipped over on the check gate. Andy couldn't understand anything. He was completely terrified. But he mustered up the courage and moved towards the stairs to go down. But the stairs that looked normal till now, it started changing its direction on its own. The area under the stairs started to lift, and Andy slipped and fell back towards the same corridor. Now behind Andy stood a terrifying man whose entire body was made of bones. This time, taking it out of the head box, its terrifying face was on her neck. He was laughing loudly, looking at Andy and limping towards him. In no time, all the lights in that mansion started flickering, and in that hall, a lot of mischievous spirits started emerging from the ground, and all of them began moving towards the risen Andy. Those spirits had completely surrounded Andy, and after that, only his screams were heard. The mansion had claimed the lives of both Sarah and Andy. Now, along with all the other spirits, Sarah and Andy's spirits were probably trapped in that mansion forever. But what's so special about that mansion? Who was that woman whose shadow Andy saw? So who were all the spirits roaming around in that mansion? And who was the man whose head was in the head box? A team has assembled to uncover the truth of this haunted mansion. A priest, a psychic,